Welcome to Pavinars, webinars for the pavement community. My name is Andrew Bram, and today we're going to be talking about flexible pavement combination maintenance treatments. And I'm very happy to say that this is the 100th Pavinar. So thank you all very much for watching, and I look forward to making more in the future. What we're going to talk about today is first a little overview of pavement maintenance. And when talking about pavement maintenance, if you've watched many of my Pavinars, you know I talk about surface versus structure, preservation versus maintenance, how these are similar, how they overlap, but more importantly, how I feel that they are differently. And then the right road, the right treatment at the right time. We're going to talk about then individual flexible maintenance treatments, and I define those as liquids only, liquids plus rock, and then asphalt mixture-based flexible maintenance treatments. We're going to then introduce the combination treatments, which include multiple chip seals, a chip seal plus a fog seal, cape seals, also mixture-based combination treatments, and then also rut fill treatments. And then finally, moving forward, I think that we as a community could do a better job of understanding the benefit of these treatments and then how to expand the mindset when considering combination treatments. And then finally, as always, I do have some additional resources for you. And we will focus on flexible pavement combination treatments or asphalt-based combination treatments in this Pavinar. So we're talking about surface versus structure, pavement surface versus pavement structure. We all know that pavements deteriorate over time, and this is due to both the environment and traffic loadings. And I defined surface deterioration including oxidation, raveling, and bleeding, top-down and non-load related cracking, and maybe low temperature cracking. This is kind of an in-between between surface and structural. But certainly for structural deterioration, there's bottom-up cracking. Again, I list low temperature cracking here with the question mark. If I ever see you at a conference, I'd be happy to talk about whether or not low temperature cracking is surface or structural, because I don't know. I could say either one. But certainly other structural deteriorations include rutting and subgrade instability. So one way to solve structural deterioration is cold-in-place recycling, which you can see here on the right. This is a cold-in-place recycling train in Kansas. But this is not what we're talking about. When we're talking about preservation and maintenance, we're only talking about surface deterioration. We are not talking about structural deterioration. So in thinking about preservation specifically, we can turn to the Federal Highway Administration, and they define preservation as planned and performed work that sustains the condition of a facility in a state of good repair. Transportation Research Board Committee AKT 30, Pavement Preservation, led by my very good friend, Dr. Ding Chung, defines pavement preservation as proactive use of cost-effective treatments, and it involves an optimal pavement condition and optimal pavement timing for placing. My personal definition, and again, I think quite a bit about pavement preservation, is that pavement should be in a good or excellent condition, which is PCI A or B, and the remaining service life should be 0. And for those of you who are not familiar with remaining service life, or RSL, I have a little example here of that. The units of remaining service life is lane, mile, years. And let's pretend your network has 1 lane mile, and you do not do anything to it. That means your network has lost 1 lane mile a year. However, if you have that same 1 lane mile and you apply a 4-year treatment, or a treatment that you anticipate to last 4 years, that means that your network has actually gained 3 lane miles because, again, that 1 year has passed, so that's a -1, but you add that 4-year treatment, -1 plus 4 is 3. So RSL, I really like this unit because if you are doing something to improve your roads, that means your RSL should be increasing. If what you are doing is negatively impacting your network, that means your RSL is decreasing. So in my mind, if your network is in good or excellent condition, you don't want it getting better, but you don't want it getting worse. Therefore, your RSL would be 0. And I talk a lot more about this in my Pavinar from April 2023 titled Pavement Preservation. So if this is interesting, if I'm kind of intriguing you, I encourage you to watch that Pavinar. Now, FHWA for pavement preservation, their old school definition, which is my favorite, 1995 to 2005, is the right road, the right treatment at the right time. I really like this definition, folks. I think it's elegant. I think it's to the point. I think it's simple. I really like it. Now, they have, in the past 10 years or so, come up with a new definition, and this is through Everyday Counts For, or EDC4. And if you Google FHWA-16-CIA, -CAI-018, you can find a very, very nice, I think it's an 8-page summary of this new definition. And here they talk about when, where, and how. And so the when and the where are similar to the old definition, right road, right treatment, right time. The how, though, goes into construction, and I agree 100% with the FHWA that the construction and the quality control and the quality assurance is absolutely critical to proper pavement preservation. But to me, the definition isn't as elegant. But that's just a personal preference. I'm very happy that the FHWA has improved on this. So we talked a little bit about maintenance. We talked a little bit about preservation. Let's talk a little bit more about maintenance here, especially some specific definitions. So the Federal Highway Administration defines pavement maintenance as in two different parts. They have preventive pavement maintenance. That's where it is cost effective and extends the useful life. There is also routine pavement maintenance, and this is a reaction to an event and seasonal. It's regular and reoccurring. So you can see some slight differences here between their definition of pavement preservation and pavement maintenance. For Transportation Research Board, pavement maintenance, this is the AKT 30 committee, routine and reactive maintenance, and it is the means and methods to treat road deficiencies. And then my definition is the actual application of specific treatments, and we need to maintain the riding surface. So again, it's not structural, it's just surface, and it's the actual application of the treatments in pavement maintenance. So in summary, preservation is more of a network level activity. It's not one specific road, it's more of a network. It is a proactive approach, and you want to keep your system or your network in good repair. For maintenance, I believe this is project specific, and I believe it's a little more reactive. You see something happening with the road, and you perform maintenance on it. You're fixing some sort of problem. Now, it may not be a structural problem, but it's still a problem. So this is just my way of kind of sorting through preservation and maintenance. This is what I think as of today is May 11th, 2025. This could change over time. This has changed for me over time. But I do spend a lot of time thinking about preservation versus maintenance. And I encourage you to develop your own definitions and hopefully introduce yourself to me sometime and we can have a conversation, because I could talk about this all day, any day. So that's pavement maintenance in my mind. Now let's move on to what sort of treatments we can apply when we are performing pavement maintenance. Now, I mentioned that I defined those into different categories. The first is liquid only. Within liquid only, you have fog seals, and this can be with or without a rejuvenator. This is where you spray a diluted asphalt emulsion onto a pavement surface. It renews the oxidized surface. It improves the appearance. It seals minor cracks, and it inhibits raveling. We also have crack seals. Crack seals can come in the form of asphalt emulsions, hot asphalt, and then there are various polymer and rubber modified sealant materials out there. Lots of good products out there by many good companies. And you simply place the adhesive material into the crack. Now, depending on the severity of the crack, you could route the crack. You definitely want to clean the crack. There's a whole bunch of different interior steps that you could make. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're placing adhesive material into that cracked surface. And this prevents moisture from going into your pavement structure and other material infiltration into that pavement structure. And you crack seal when you have a working crack. That means it's moving in and out, and it's greater than 1/8 of an inch during the summer. And that's important because that is compared to a crack fill, which is non-working, and it's less than 1/8 of an inch in the summer. So there is a little bit of a difference there between crack seals and crack fills. Now, when we take liquids and we also combine rocks, we start with the chip seal. That's where you put asphalt emulsion or hot applied asphalt binder down with aggregates on top. This provides skid resistance. That seal of either emulsion or binder provides a nice impermeable layer. It stops raveling and it can seal minor cracks. Now, if you have major cracks, I recommend a scrub seal. This is where you use a rejuvenate emulsion. Then you actually drag a broom behind the distributor, and that broom forces emulsion down into those cracks. Then you place chips on top like a chip seal. Now, slurry surfacing, which is a combination of slurry seal and microsurfacing. This is asphalt emulsion mixed with a fine aggregate, and it provides skid resistance, it restricts moisture intrusion, and it stops oxidation and raveling. Now, microsurfacing can fill ruts. It can actually act as a structural layer. Slurry seals cannot fill ruts. And there are other subtle differences, and I'll go over some resources here in a minute. But slurry seal and microsurfacing combined is referred to as slurry surfacing. Now, mixture-based flexible pavement maintenance treatments include thin lift asphalt mixtures. I am a firm believer that this is less than 1.5 inch overlay. This is not less than or equal to 1.5 inch overlays. And it is certainly not a 2 inch overlay, because maintenance treatment should not be structural. So if it's less than 1.5 inches, I do not really believe that adds significant structure. Therefore, I believe it is a maintenance treatment. And this can address raveling, friction loss, oxidation, and non-structural cracking. We also have a bonded wearing course, also known as an ultra-thin bonded wearing course, or UTBWC. This is a special paver that has a spray bar. This is where you spray polymer modified emulsion, which you can see on the right, but it's a part of the paver, and so you immediately place a gap graded thin lift. And this is really cool because once that thin lift hits that asphalt emulsion, the water in the emulsion evaporates very rapidly, and it wicks the asphalt emulsion residue up into that gap graded structure. So you get a very, very nice seal. And it provides a very nice moisture membrane. And it also can address raveling, friction loss, oxidation, and non-structural cracking. Now I'm going to go over a whole laundry list of additional resources. We got crack seal, fog seal, chip seal and scrub seal, slurry seal, microsurfacing, thin lifts, and bonded wearing courses. Now I could list all these reports and you'd probably zone out, maybe open up another window, maybe put me on 2x speed if I'm not there already. But you can see a lot of these resources are NCHRP reports. They are ISA guidelines, and there are also some very nice FHWA documents and AASHTO material and design standards. Folks, there are a lot of good resources here. If you're interested in any of these treatments, I encourage you to get your hands on as many of these resources as possible. Everything listed on here, except the AASHTO material standards and design standards, are free to download. You got to go to the right website. For the ISA documents, go to slurry.org. For the NCHRP documents, Google that NCHRP report number or project number. You should be able to find it. But the AASHTO documents you do need to pay for if you do not subscribe to them. Now, the good news is these also all have FHWA pavement preservation checklists. So if you Google FHWA pavement preservation checklist crack seal, you will find the 2019, and maybe if you're watching this, they've updated them, but as of 2025, they're all the 2019 pavement preservation checklists. They have a ton of good information in them, and they are all free to download for every single one of these treatments. So lots and lots of good resources out there, lots of free resources out there. I encourage you to take a look at all of them. Now, how do these flexible maintenance treatments turn into combination treatments? Now, before I start talking about combination treatments, I do want to talk about best practices versus combination treatments. Now, in my mind, when we're talking about placing a surface treatment on a road, there are some best practices. First of all, you need to prepare the surface. So for fog seals, chip seals, scrub seals, slurry surfacing, thin overlays, ultra-thin bonded wearing courses, all of these need proper surface preparation. This includes removing any markings, any striping, any reflectors, any markings on the roadways. You want to clean the surface. You want to dry and fill any cracks greater than 1/4 of an inch with crack seal. This is all proper surface preparation before you place, for example, a chip seal, which you can see on the right. If you do not do this, your surface treatment will not perform as designed. So in my mind, these are best practices. Now, again, you can have a robust conversation about whether or not having a crack seal plus any of these surface treatments is a combination treatment. And I've had conversations with people who believe they are combination treatments. I respectfully disagree with them because I think that if you are applying any surface treatments as part of the best practices, you should make sure your cracks are sealed. Therefore, this is not a combination treatment. It's simply applying the best practices for that surface treatment. But again, you see me at a conference, corner me, I would love to talk about this. If you can convince me otherwise, I'm 100% on board. But as of today, I believe that crack seals are a part of best practices. Therefore, crack seals plus any surface treatment is not a combination treatment. That is just my opinion. And I like to back that up with facts. And so Dr. Vargas Norbeck from NCAT, she has a very, very good publication out there in TRR. It's called The Life Extending Benefits of Crack Sealing for Pavement Preservation. This is a fantastic, fantastic paper, and I'm just going to show what I consider the highlight of highlight in this paper, but there's a lot of good information in here that I encourage you to check out. Now, so this data is from Lee Road 159, which is down, I'm not 100% sure if it's in Auburn itself, but if it's not in Auburn, it's very, very close to Auburn. And this is a road that leads to a quarry. So the inbound traffic is unloaded trucks. The outbound traffic is loaded trucks. This is a brilliant place to put a test section because you have very, very different traffic in the two lanes. And so what they did is they looked at some good existing pavement, medium existing pavement, and poor existing pavement. Lots of great resources out there on that. But I'm just showing the data for the good existing pavement because in my mind, you should only put maintenance treatments on good condition pavements. We got the inbound on the left, the outbound on the right. If you're good with colors, the inbound is kind of a burnt orange, the outbound is a blue. But you can see here, if you apply a crack seal, you are looking at adding a minimum of 2, maybe up to 3 years of survival probability to your pavement, to your surface treatment. So this is an incredible, incredible finding on the benefits of adding that crack seal before you place the chip seal on top of there. So this is for the good existing pavement, and she also has the fair pavement and the poor pavement. Now those curves are shifting to the left because as the pavement deteriorates, the surface treatment lasts a lower amount of time, so it shifts to the left. But the point is those dotted lines are always on the right. So whenever you add a crack fill before placing your surface treatment, you get extended survival. Very, very, very interesting findings, and it very clearly shows that the crack seal extends the life for a chip seal. So in my mind, this means that crack seal is simply just best practice. But moving on. How does this extend to combination treatment? So you do your crack sealing, you do your proper surface preparation. So what are some combination treatments? Well, there are multiple chip seals. This is a double chip seal or a triple chip seal. I could not find any literature for triple chip seals. Now that does not mean they don't exist because I have heard about them, but I was not able to find any literature about them. A chip seal plus a fog seal is another type of combination treatment. It's a cape seal. This is a base of a chip seal or a scrub seal. So you can see that in the right-hand lane on the right side of that picture. So that's either a chip seal or a scrub seal. Then you add either a slurry seal or a microsurfacing. So on the left-hand side of that picture, I'm not sure if that's a slurry or a micro, but that is what a cape seal is. You first place a chip seal, then you place a slurry seal, or you could place a scrub seal and then a microsurfacing, or any combination of those. Then we also have some mixture-based combination treatments. You can put a chip seal or a scrub seal down plus a thin lift, and this is also called a SAMI. Or you could put a thin lift plus a chip seal or a micro. And then finally, you could put a rut fill. Put that microsurfacing down in the rut and then place a surface treatment on top. Now, by far the most common is a cape seal. Based on literature, I wouldn't say a lot of literature has been done on cape seals, but of these combination treatments, the most common is cape seals. There's a very nice picture on the right there. It's with a quarter. On the right, you see the original chip seal, and then on the left, you see that slurry or micro put on top of there, but that combination is a very powerful combination. So let's get started with the multiple chip seals. This is also known as an armor coat. And what you do is there are 4 steps after your surface prep. First, you place a large aggregate chip seal. So this is an asphalt emulsion binder plus a 1/2-inch chip or so. Then you seat that aggregate, you sweep it. You may release it to traffic for a while, but regardless of what you do want to make sure that there is not a lot of loose rock on that surface. You then place another emulsion layer and then a smaller aggregate, so about a number 4 aggregate, and you don't quite place as much asphalt emulsion as well. And what this does is it places that smaller rock inside of that larger rock, and this is your completed multiple chip seal. And you sweep it, you seat it with a pneumatic tire roller, you sweep it, and you release it to traffic. You get kind of this combination of larger and smaller aggregates that's very intentionally seated within one another. It's a very nice treatment. So in Washington, the Washington DOT found that these double chip seals can correct flushing and improve friction. And in Minnesota, MnDOT, they found that a double chip seal is rougher than a thin lift mixture, but both are considered valid alternatives. Now, this is all double chip seals. You can also find double microsurfacing out there, so simply putting 2 layers of microsurfacing down at once. Again, I was not able to find any literature on this, but that is another option that I've heard about. Now, moving on to a chip seal plus a fog seal. This is simply where you place your chip seal, place the emulsion, place the chip down, you seat the aggregate with a pneumatic tire roller, you sweep it, you may release it to traffic just to kind of get some of that excess rock off of there. But then you place a fog seal, and this is 0.04 to 0.1 gallons per square yard, and it is diluted. And the nice thing about this is it restores a black color, and the traveling public loves black roads. It also provides a very nice marking contrast, and it seals the chip. And informally, I've had conversations with people who say they have put this combination treatment down. And after they place the chip seal, people are furious. They're asking, why are you putting all this rock? It's flying around. It looks like junk. It's all rough and all of that. And they wait about a week to get all that extra aggregate off, and people are complaining. The instant they placed that fog seal, the complaints stopped because people thought a new road was placed down. So this is a very, very inexpensive way to get a very nice looking road that the traveling public is happy with. And it also seals those chips and provides marking contrast. So you got a little bit of safety in there, and you have a little bit more of an extension. So some of the findings, Montana Department of Transportation found that placing this fog seal makes it more durable than only a chip seal. And you can see on the right there, the control has all those very exposed rocks, but as you add a little more binder on top of there, you can see that's providing just a little more embedment. Now this is after that has been worn off the surface. The excess binder has been worn off the surface, but that excess binder does then provide some extra embedment. And then Minnesota DOT found that it extended the pavement life here. So a couple nice articles, which I will provide the full references for later, but they found some benefits to applying that fog seal after a chip seal. All right, now cape seals. First, you place either a chip seal or a scrub seal, depending on how much cracking you have, depending on what you want. You seat the aggregate with a pneumatic tire roller, you sweep it, and again, you may release to traffic. Then after that, you place either a slurry seal or a microsurfacing. So you place some sort of slurry surfacing treatment. So the benefits here is you get that really, really nice seal with the spray application. But then after placing the slurry surfacing, you get a smooth, tight surface. So when you think about this, you are combining the primary benefits to these two sets of treatments. You're getting that really nice seal at the base of your chip seal or scrub seal, but you're getting a really smooth, tight surface with the slurry seal or the microsurfacing. So it's kind of a win-win here with cape seals. And some findings here. VTRC, the Virginia Transportation Research Council, found you had less cracking with this combination treatment than only having microsurfacing. NCAT found that this cape seal outperformed chip seals only, microsurfacing only, and thin overlay. So of all the pavement maintenance treatments, it performed the best. And the University of Nevada, Reno, found that a micro cape seal, so placing microsurfacing on that, had a double the service life of a slurry cape seal. So here they put down two types of cape seals, but one with slurry on top, one with micro, and they found that micro doubled the service life. Now finally, mixture base, a chip seal or a scrub seal plus a thin lift is called a SAMI, S-A-M-I, stress absorbing membrane interface, I believe. This is a chip seal or a scrub seal. You seat it, you sweep it, you may release to traffic, but then you place a thin lift. And I have a whole Pavinar on this, on SAMIs. December 5th, 2021 is when it was recorded. So if you're interested in SAMIs, I do have a full Pavinar on those. Now, you can also go the other way around, and this, in one report, I found was called a half smart, and this is a thin lift, then you add a chip seal or a microsurfacing on top. And one report that I found that used this half smart is put out by the Illinois Center for Transportation, ICT, found that it was similar to only chip seal or slurry seal, but it was not as effective to microsurfacing. So that was just one study where they put a thin lift and put a chip seal on top, but it was one study with their findings. And they found also that when you placed a microsurfacing on top of a thin lift, it increased surface friction, and it had similar performance to other mixture-based maintenance treatments. So that's just one study that found some things from Illinois, but it's definitely something to consider. And now, finally, the fourth and final combination set of combination treatments that I'll talk about is a rut fill. This is where you put microsurfacing plus a surface treatment. So for rut fills, microsurfacing must be a type 3. And if it's more than 1.5 inches of rutting, it may require multiple lifts. Now, it's very important to note that you cannot have active rutting. This has to be static rutting. It has to be rutted and done. Then you can put microsurfacing in there. If you have structural rutting, microsurfacing is not going to help. In fact, nothing will help. Because if you have structural rutting, that means you probably have base problems. If you have base problems, it doesn't matter what you do with the surface or any part of the structure. You need to fix those base problems. Anyway, but only placed on non-working ruts. You want to make sure that micro rut fill cures 24 hours before the surface treatments, and then you can place a chip seal or a microsurfacing on top of everything as that final surface treatment. Now, I did also find something interesting from Washington, D.C. They've been playing around with putting a 5/8 inch chip seal, so that's a pretty big rock, a 5/8 inch chip seal in the rut, and this they call a wheel path chip seal. And they found it was quote unquote very effective treatment when distresses were confined to the wheel path. So I only found something from Washington about that, and the only reason I knew about this was from a conversation with a colleague and a friend. But this is another option that's out there, so it's something that I think could and should be explored moving forward. So that's it for the combination treatments. We kind of covered a lot of ground in a very, very confined set of time, but I do think that there are some interesting possibilities there. So what can we do moving forward? First of all, we need to understand the benefit. Now I'm going to go back to NCAT, the National Center for Asphalt Technology, and they have a whole website devoted to pavement preservation, a whole section of their website devoted to pavement preservation. It's an excellent, excellent resource. You should take a look because they have what is called a performance dashboard. They have both a warm and a cold climatic region data. They have low and high traffic data, and they have percent cracking, rutting, and IRI. Those are the MAP 21 indicators. And they have several combination treatments out there, and with those they have the, moving from left to right here of what I put up there, the percent cracking of area, the rutting, and also the IRI, where these combination treatments are. And then they actually have these deterioration curves where they have the percent cracking here versus the time. So this is actual data from actual field sites, and they have a control and they have a treatment. So you're able to see how these treatments help all of these sections. So they have many different types of combination treatments available on their website, but definitely go to their pavement preservation portion of the NCAT website. Lots of good things to poke around with there. Now, the next thing I think that should be done, and I'm hesitant to talk about this slide because I feel those who believe something better can be done should stop talking and do it, instead of talking about how it should be done. But I'm going to talk about how it should be done. I think that ISSA could do something about this. So the International Slurry Surfacing Association has phenomenal resources available at slurry.org, free to download. They have guidelines for crack seals, chip seals, slurry seals, and microsurfacing. Go to slurry.org, download them, read them, great stuff. However, they have no mention of combination treatments on their website. Now, I have been to their slurry workshop, which is a fantastic workshop if you have not been. It's held every January in Las Vegas. There was one presentation I've been to at the slurry workshop on combination treatments, and that presentation, put on by Rex Eberly, great presentation, actually motivated me to make this Pavinar. And I hope I did it justice, Rex. If I did not, I apologize, and you can holler at me the next time you see me. But I think ISSA could very easily make a guideline for combination treatments. I think they could maybe put some sort of document, some sort of white paper about combination treatments, because they have everything. They've got the crack seal, they've got the chip seal, they've got the slurry seal, they've got the microsurfacing, they've got all the pieces. I say make something about combination treatments. I also think that roadresource.org should have something about combination treatments. If you have not been at roadresource.org, stop watching this Pavinar right now and go. Now, I would invite you to come back and watch the rest of it, but this is a phenomenal website. They talk about all the treatments. They've got overviews, pre-construction, construction, quality assurance. They talk about different research and performance documents out there, success stories, and they have lots of photos. But what they don't have is any mention of combination treatments. I personally believe that combination treatments need showcasing. They're occurring out there. People are using them. People are happy with them. I think that these two organizations could do a better job of showcasing them. Now, what are some additional resources that you right now can download free of charge and take a look at? We got an FHWA document. You can Google either the full title or that number, and you should be able to find the PDF of it relatively quickly. We got an LRRB document, Alternatives to Seal Coat. We've got a Wisconsin/UNR document, Effectiveness of Cape Seals. We've got something out of VTRC, the Surface Treatments to Extend Pavement Life. And then we got a very nice TRC e-circular, so EC283. This is all about low volume roads, and they've got two very nice articles about combination treatments, two articles on Cape Seals. So take a screenshot, search the titles, search the report name, search it all, some sort of combination. You should be able to find these PDFs to download free of charge. And then we've got quite a few things for double chip seals. We got our Washington report. I encourage you to take a look at that. We've got something out of Ontario. Their standard specification does a very nice job of going over some details about double chip seals. Very nice document. You can learn a lot from reading specifications. It's not exactly the most exciting reading, but you do learn a lot, so there's that. When you're looking at chips plus a fog seal, we got our Montana report, and then we've also got something out of MnDOT, Minnesota Department of Transportation. And then there are resources out there that talk about multiple combination treatments. So we got a real nice FHWA document out there. We got a nice NCAT document, and then another out of Washington State. So again, you can search the titles, you can search the report number, the date with one of those two. If I was able to find them with a little bit of digging, you'll probably be able to find them. If you're not able to find them, send me an email. I'd be happy to email them to you. But they're free of charge out there somewhere. So again, thank you for joining me. This has been very exciting to put together these Pavinars. To have the 100th Pavinar is quite exciting. And to do it on combination treatments is also exciting. For those of you who know me, I've had quite a journey through different combination or different areas of my research, and I've really kind of settled into the pavement preservation, pavement maintenance, asphalt emulsion based area. So I do have some biases. I fully acknowledge that, and I would love to have conversations about any of this with any of you if we're able to see each other. So we talked about combination treatments, what maintenance is, what treatments are, what combination treatments are, and what we can do moving ahead. But thank you so much. 100 Pavinars. It's been very exciting, and I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day.